Okay, well, we stopped that clip because the battery was dying, and then we dropped the video camera, screwed up the screen, got water on the lens, hooked up an extension cord, and now we're back at it. So the next thing we were going to talk about is the other energy management system that we've got going here. And it's something that we've kind of just dreamed up. It's kind of a hybrid between some other things that you know, are already in use, and some stuff that we haven't really seen before that we thought was kind of cool. So what it is basically pool panels. They are designed to just lay on your roof on a pitched roof in the summer, pump your pool water up through it, gather the heat from the sun, and then pump it back down into your pool. And we've taken some of those and we put them on the north side of the greenhouse. We put 3/4 of an inch of insulation behind them so that the north wall of the greenhouse is insulated. It's got the 2 layers of the polyfilm. It's got the 3/4 of an inch of the white styrofoam ball insulation. And then on the front of that, we put pool panels. We take, whenever the sun is shining and it's hotter inside the greenhouse than it is in the water, we run water up, push it up through the panels, let it gravity drain back down into the storage tank. And so if we come over here and look at this, you see the pump? That's coming up out of the ground. We have a heat mass tank that has about 700 gallons of water in it. You getting that? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the bottom of the tank. Comes up through the pump. We've got a 700 gallon heat mass tank right there. It was 1,000 gallons that we buried, we cut off, and it's got about 700 gallons in it right now. We pump that water through the manifold on the bottom over here. Up the panels. They gravity drain back down through the 1.5-inch pipe up here. Come up to the top. Panels push into that. They gravity drain back down through the 1.5-inch pipe, and they gravity drain back down into our storage tank. Okay? So what that does, it collects the sun's energy all day long when the sun is shining. The inside of this greenhouse is basically just a huge solar collector. So you don't have any heat loss. In fact, you have heat gain because of the ambient temperature. So these panels are very effective. We don't need to run any glazed panels. Someday we're gonna put some glazed panels in outside when we can find some room, and we're gonna beef up this system and make the water even hotter and keep it even warmer at night. But for now, they're collecting a ton of energy from the sun. Right now, if we look over there, I don't know if you guys can see this, but that is a thermometer that's showing ambient temperature, which is 72, and temperature of the water halfway down the tank, which is 73. The water's running right now. It's sundown. Outside temperature is, I don't know, 38, 40?
Roughly, yeah.
So it's about 40. Inside the greenhouse is 72. The water temperature is 73. The 700-gallon tank is in contact. It's halfway buried, more than halfway buried. So it's in contact with the soil. That's transferring all of its heat energy into the soil at night. And that heat energy is moving out into the greenhouse. So that where I'm standing right now is 5 feet away from that storage tank, and the temperature 2 feet down is 70 degrees. So we've created a huge solar mass without putting in any kind of tubing, without running any kind of radiant system, just putting it into the tank and letting the surface area of the tank that's in contact with the soil push that heat out. Okay? So that has been extremely effective, and the numbers on that one, if we're looking at 700 gallons, okay, I know somebody's going to correct me on this, but it turns out to about 49,000 BTUs per day if we have a 10-degree difference. Well, right now it's, what was it, 72? Because we had kind of a cloudy day. It usually gets up on a sunny day when it's cold outside up to about 75. And when I come back in the morning, it's usually down around 65, 64, 63, 62. Kind of varies depending on how much sun we've had. But it's generally about a 10-degree difference. So that means we've dissipated about 10 degrees out of 700 gallons, which is roughly 49,000 BTUs. Okay, add that to the 49,000 BTUs that we're getting off of the air system, and we're looking at right around 100,000 BTUs. And we found that that's enough to keep the minimum temperature inside the greenhouse so far at about 42. Since we've implemented all of the energy management stuff, the lowest temperature we've seen inside here in the morning at sunrise is 42 degrees. And that was when it was about that day it was about 18 degrees outside at the same time of day. So we're getting, at a minimum, a 20-degree differential. On some days we're getting 26, 27-degree differential between inside the greenhouse at daybreak and outside. It all depends on how many cloudy days we've had, how sunny it is, that kind of stuff. But, on average, we've been getting about 22, 23-degree differential, and we're pretty thrilled with that. What that's done is enabled us to completely shut off the supplemental heat, which at this point, before we implemented this, we were using electric, which is extremely inefficient. Nothing anybody wants to do long-term, for sure. Not at all smart, but we were doing it for a little while to get the vegetables going when we first got the greenhouse up and running, and now we're not. The heater has been packed away. The only energy that we're using off the grid is enough to push that little pump down there that was filmed, and enough to run the little fan, and that's pretty minimal. Someday we'll get that on solar power, but for now, it's really minimal. And it's enabled us to grow warm weather vegetables, to our surprise, in the middle of winter. We thought we were just going to be able to do brassicas, cold weather stuff, and we've done that in abundance, but we've also been growing tomatoes, and they were all volunteers that just started popping up in the growing bed from what was the garden. The front side growing bed used to be the garden outside. There was lots of tomatoes dropped, I guess, and there's lots of seeds out there, and they just started sprouting everywhere. So we let some of them grow, and here, check out. Here's an example of the volunteer tomatoes. Here's one that I just pruned a little while ago and started sending up a hole here, but it was all over the place. This is probably a third of the mass. The rest of it I cut off. We've got one going over here that's just starting to set some fruit. You can see the flowers on it. This is February 8th, I think, and it's setting flowers, so we're really happy about that. Back here we've got what my wife calls baitai. It's a Napa cabbage that doesn't really head.
Can you touch it or just point to it so we can see it?
Touch it. We've got some stepping stones in here to make harvesting a little easier. This stuff just grows Jurassic fronds that are like super duper tasty, and that's like a quarter of a pound. So it doesn't look like a whole lot, but we can't keep ahead of it. We keep cutting it and eating it and giving it away, and cutting it and eating it and giving it away, and it keeps coming back. Now inside a greenhouse, this is something that I had never experienced in Albuquerque. No wind, lots of water. You guys could probably hear that, right?
Crisp. Wow.
Right, this big floppy plant, crisp. And the taste is out of this world. Super duper yummy. It tastes like a really good perfume. Nothing like what you're gonna buy in the store.
Got it.
So this one right here is gonna be donated to our little chicken buddy. It's getting a little dark to see this, but we have a chicken in recuperation here that went through a molt a few weeks ago, and she was too cold outside, so my wife brought her inside built her a little pen and is letting her grow some feathers. The feathers are grown back, and I'm going to kick her outside pretty quick here. But
It's getting pretty dark in here
yeah, but she's recovered.
for this.
Okay, so that's it for the energy management segment.